Hi everyone, this is Kim from the Dream Theater World Fan Club, and with me today I have John and Jordan coming on the stream, and we're going to talk about the new live DVD that they have prepared to release in November. So here's John and Jordan.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Dream Theater World.
What's happening? All right, Kim, make sure you get this.
That's a mess.
I got it on the board.
Okay,
So tell me about the new DVD. What's that about?
What's that about? Well, as some people may know who saw the tour, we all last year we were on tour in support of Distance Over Time, and also celebrating 20 years since the release of Scenes from a Memory, and we had a really great tour going. We hit Europe a couple of times. We did festivals. We did North America a couple of times, South America, and just at the end of the last little bit we did in February, we recorded 2 nights of the tour in London, and so that's what this DVD is. Unfortunately for our friends in Asia and Australia, Japan, South Korea and stuff, we did not get to bring the show there because of the pandemic. We were supposed to do that in April. So for our fans in that part of the world, they get to see the show as we would have presented it live in their countries. The DVD is the exact show,
right?
And that's what it is. That's what Distant Memories is.
So you say you filmed 2 shows. Does that mean you mixed and matched footage from both shows, or did you choose one show as the main show to present now?
It's mixed and matched. It's mostly audio-wise from the second show. The camera shots are both shows. They had different. The director had different camera setups from one night to the next. So and we made sure we all wore the same clothes.
Yeah.
He's able to, like one night he had a better audience camera setup or the on-stage cameras, and the next night he had a better track. I don't know the technical names for these things. The camera, and so he was able to choose what either night and do that. And some of the audio is from the first night too, depending on how well or not well it went. But in general, the band felt that the second night was the better of the 2, and so we used that as the core as far as the mix, what we're presenting to everybody. But we mix it up a little bit.
And it's the entire show that you played, and also you played 2 different songs on each night, did you? So you have that as a bonus track as well on the DVD.
Right. Oh, we played.
Yeah. And so one night. So the only difference between the 2 nights was we were trying to play as many Distance Over Time songs as we could on this tour because we had such a great positive response to the record release. In many places all over the world, it charted either #1 or top 5, which we did not expect. And so we had a lot of requests to play as many songs from the new album as we could, which is it's kind of unusual when you put out a new album.
Yeah, right.
And we can only sort of do that in the first part of the show. The show is in 2 segments with an intermission. So we only had an hour to really fill with new material. So in order to play as many of the new album songs we could, we swapped. One night we'd play Paralyzed, one night we'd play Fall Into the Light. And so that's the only difference between the 2 nights. And Paralyzed, the reason why it's a bonus track is because, remember I was just talking about the lighting, the cameras being different from night to night. So night 2 had probably the more elaborate camera setup, and Paralyzed is the only song from night one that wasn't repeated. So if people watch it, they'll notice it looks a little bit different than everything else. It didn't have all the camera treatment that the other songs did. So for that reason, we made it a bonus track as opposed to putting it in the main body of the DVD, because we thought it might just look out of place a little bit.
And I've seen some confusion that some place that released some track listing only released like half of Scenes from Marbury, but of course it's the entire album that's on the DVD. So just so that we've clarified that people don't think that.
It's literally the entire show, everything we played.
Right.
Yeah.
And some bonus stuff as well, behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
So what made you pick London as the place to record this time?
Well, London has, become a really great audience for us over the years. And we always try to do it somewhere different. We don't want to like repeat ourselves. So we figured, we can get the vibe, the London vibe, and it would be special in a classic place. It's a very famous venue. So those factors kind of led us to that place.
And of course, London used to be the headquarters for the official fan club back a decade or so ago. Yeah. And I got word from Carrie this morning that I should congratulate her and Richard on her 16th anniversary, I think it was.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Happy anniversary. That's fantastic. Exciting. Awesome. Yeah, we have a lot of friends all around the world who were there from very early on. Right. Yeah, you're right. The beginning days, the original fan club days way back when, with the Dutch fans put that together, the UK fans, and then it spread, the Italian dreamers, and this more better than any of us, Tim, because you were the one that united all this stuff into Dream Theater world.
You finally put it
together. Yeah, but
organized.
There's definitely a long history with our fans and our friends in the UK. When we first started touring as a live band, we immediately played in London. The Live at the Marquee was the first live album we did.
But the funny thing is about London is that when I joined in '99, I remember that London, it wasn't always like what it is now. We didn't have, it was good. I mean, everywhere is a good response, but we really saw it notch up.
Absolutely.
Where we were playing like the Wembley, arena.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the same in Oslo. When the first show I saw with Dream Theater was back in '98, and that was like 1,200 people or something.
Right.
And then it peaked around Octavarium, I think, with 9,000 people in the Spectrum.
Right.
Yeah.
So it went like uphill. Yeah. So let's just bring in some questions from some people.
Directions are going. We like going.
We like that way a lot more than the other way.
So Marcelo asks, in the concert Pale Blue Dot's intro, we can hear a voice saying Pale Blue Dot, but in the Distant Memories version, I can't hear this intro of the studio version, not the live intro. Why?
In the concert, probably we can hear it. Because the studio and live, the studio version on the DVD is the same. No. The DVD version that you're going to get, that people get, and what Marcelo has viewed is the same intro as the studio version. The DVD version, the same intro as the studio version. The live version was different. And so you might be hearing like the ambience from the live version.
Right. And why?
And why? Because that's the way the cookie crumbles.
There you go. Thank you for the question.
So Marcelo is very
he's astute, right?
He's very astute. Yeah. Yes.
Well, that's right. I could be good in bed.
Okay, can we expect an individual Blu-ray release of Distant Memories at some point? If not, why? Just asking for myself. I'm gone completely digital when it comes to audio and wouldn't have use for physical audio. So I guess what he's talking about is the only way you can get it is in the big deluxe edition.
Yeah. The only way is this limited deluxe 3 CD with 2 Blu-rays and 2 DVD artwork. The other Blu-ray, I guess, comes with a special edition 3 CD, 2 Blu-ray digipack, and a slipcase.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say the wrong thing, and I could be totally wrong, but sometimes a label they will do that like down the road, and they'll make things available. I believe we did that recently with Distance Over Time.
Yeah, it is.
Right, we made something that was part of the box set available, but you're talking a year down the road or whatever. For the same reason he was mentioning. But for the initial launch, it's more of a special item in the package. But yeah, I don't know for sure if that'll happen, but depends on how patient you are. It might be something that would become available, and I understand the reasons why he's mentioning.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people don't have the whole collector's thing going on, so they just want the bare necessities. But I mean,
in a different headspace. Like for me, I'm not even like I'm not like a DVD Blu-ray guy. So for me, like I'd be looking for more of the audio. I don't know. That's just me. Like, and then some people are really into collecting.
Oh,
and you know a lot of people like that. I believe you're one of these.
I'm a collector, hardcore collector.
So you get, so you're happy to have that all included. But I understand where he's coming from. That where you just might maybe want one element if that's important to you. If the digital element's important. So everybody's different. But that's the way we decided to package it in this case.
Let's see. Oh, that's a big question.
Wow.
Scott Hansen, Setlist Scotty. Often you guys have commented.
What's up, Scotty?
How you doing?
Often you have commented that you have too much material from their writing sessions that you can't use. Being that you now are working in your own studio and there's no deadline for producing a new album, will you limit yourself to writing only 60-80 minutes worth of music, or will you continue writing to allow all these ideas to be used and then pick the best or most cohesive group of songs to release as an album and use the rest as tracks for bonus tracks or B-sides or whatever?
Wow, I get, it's funny, making me think. I mean, we probably won't make the world's longest album. Decided on how long we want this particular album to be, but I mean, it is true that we have. One thing about us is that we don't have any shortage of ideas. We definitely have a lot of stuff, but we usually have a concept of how we want to present our album and our product. So
yeah, I think it's also like it's an approach, like a mentality. Like I understand what Scotty's talking about. How you doing, Scotty?
Okay.
Some bands work that way, where they'll write an excess of material and then maybe pick the best ideas. But we sort of just focus on what we want the album to be as a whole, and we focus on each song. And none of them are like throwaway tracks. Like we don't sort of view it that way. And if anything, if we need more to be used as bonus material or whatever, we'll just write more. But we try to put the same intensity and care into each song, as opposed to writing like an overabundance, and then choosing which ones are stronger or weaker.
Right.
Usually work.
Right. And I guess the only thing to understand about us is that we always have a lot of seeds for things, but we really like to write together, like just to really craft the songs and be together in the room. But we do have like lots of things, like, you need a beginning of something or an idea for something. We have a lot of those sitting around.
Yeah, like Jordan said, there's never a shortage.
Yeah, and then when we're writing, we also have a lot of ideas that come up that maybe we'll say, well, that's cool, but we're not using that because it's not right for this particular song or whatever. But our problem is not lack of inspiration.
Yeah.
I guess people are just remembering back in the old days when there was always like a bonus track or something that was not on the CD, like Eve and
Sure.
Speak to Me and all those songs.
Yeah, a little bit, different times back then, different approaches, and different reasons why we did stuff. Maybe something originated live and we never recorded it. That type of thing. I suppose it's always fun. I mean, we could certainly, like Jordan said, there's so many ideas we could write for 3 albums at once if we wanted to.
So, are you writing an album right now?
We are right now. You actually took us away from the writing room.
We're in the middle of a really cool part. I had to really write it down very well, so I can remember what the hell happened.
Forget it all.
Oh no!
Probably our best thing we ever did.
And I ruined it all. Oh, damn it. As you create more music, how do you or will you decide on set list? Is the goal to make one set and then swap out a few songs here and there? That comes from Liam Murphy.
Liam.
What's up, Liam? It's hard. We do have tons and tons of material, and shows can only be so long. I think, we've talked about this a bunch of times. There's a lot of different schools of thought on this. It's kind of like, one is, you have the set be consistent so that you can put on the best well-produced show as you possibly can. It's almost more of
Broadway style.
Broadway style, or certain bands do that. I mean, Rush did that a lot in their career. There's the idea where you completely change the set constantly, which is more of the, I don't know, maybe jam band style, Zappa style, Fish, Grateful Dead. And I get that too. That's really hard to pull off for the entire band and crew. I think that, maybe the compromise is what Liam had mentioned, which we did a little bit, but maybe not to the extent that we could, where there's a core set and then we kind of swap out a few songs. This way, the show, it could be something different from night to night, but it could still benefit from the consistency of having a produced show. That's probably the best way to do it, And
of course, on this tour and the previous tour, you did a full album,
right?
So that holds a big slot on the timetable.
Yeah. The whole second act was accounted for. We only had an hour of the first set and the encore to play new, catalog or whatever. It's also, this is an excuse. Is not an excuse. It's a reality that Dream Theater music is, for the most part, is pretty complicated for everybody to kind of, not just the band, but for the whole crew, lighting, video, and everything to kind of wrap their heads around. So it's hard to just call up. We're not a blues band, so it's hard to just say, all right, Octavarium tonight, and then everybody can just magically
make a hand signal. Look at lost soul.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to be a robot and be able to do that.
That'd be cool.
In fact, it's,
I would. You have to actually relearn it if you have to play it again.
Or relearn it.
Sometimes we'll listen to stuff like, I remember being on the bus and John and I were listening to, I think it was Ministry or something we hadn't heard for a long time, and I was like, oh my god, this is really cool. Like, wow, what is this? What is this part? Like, you get a little perspective and you forget, and it's we definitely have to do some relearning.
I mean, we're not afraid of hard work, and that's all it really takes. But there is a time component, so it's a little bit harder, less realistic for us to have, let's say, another whole hour's worth of interchangeable material prepared at any given notice.
Right.
It's a little bit unrealistic, but I get the whole desire for that.
Sure.
I do.
Ryan Gibbs asks, I was at the Saturday Sun show in London and can't wait to see the Blu-ray. What is the song that you feel you connect with the crowd most?
I mean, I guess we could say we probably have favorites to play live, and I'm thinking the first thought that came to mind is I really was every night I'd be so excited and into playing Pale Blue Dot live. I just loved that song. I mean, it's just really fun to play. To me, it had a really great combination of kind of that epic sound, but also it wasn't that long, right? It just and it has a lot of majestic kind of moments, and I just felt okay. This is a really great one.
It's cool. Thanks, Ryan. Did he say he was at the second show or the
second show?
So the second show. So we played. What Jordan? Probably relate to this too on the new album Fall Into the Light. There's a middle section there's always a great connection moment with the audience where everybody sort of sings along to this very anthemic melody. So that's a good connection moment.
Good spot.
And also Spirit Carries On in the second set. I mean, we've seen some really beautiful seas of cell phone lights, in not only in London on both those nights, but throughout the world and arenas and things like that, where we have photos. In fact, the behind the scenes thing that's included in this release has some footage from other countries, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Right. You'll see the moment where it's just a sea of lights and such a beautiful connecting moment. Another one is
we have a good photo though of that.
Yeah,
fucking Nidal.
It's the Nidal footage. Yeah,
that's good.
It's amazing. And then also in Scenes from Memory, in the song Through Her Eyes, we did sort of a tribute moment to our fallen musician heroes. And so in the story, the main character is visiting the graveyard to his past life self. But we took that opportunity. In fact, the video artist Wayne Joyner did this to show tombstones and show some of the musicians that we had lost. So you see, the names kind of come up on the screen. You see Emerson, Zappa, Cornell, Burton, etc. In fact, when Neil Peart died, we were on the road, and I think it might have been the next night he had added Neil, Peart to the thing. And it's just one of those moments that's very emotional, and the audience really connected. So hopefully Ryan, am I getting his name right? I think it was Ryan who asked that. Hopefully, maybe he knows what I'm talking about. It's a moment I'd look at in the audience and see people's reactions, see some people sort of tearing up or cheering for their heroes. So that was a good connecting moment as well.
So you had made all new animation for Scenes from Memory. How much of that is visible on the DVD itself now?
What do you think?
I mean, probably if you were there in the room live, you would, see all of it. And on the DVD, you see some of it, a good portion of that.
There's quite a number of shots that are pulled out far enough where you see it. It's always, because of the way the stage setup was built. I mean, it's kind of always there. So I would not say that you could watch it as if you were watching a existing movie and following it that way, but you definitely see the elements of it and you feel the elements. The other thing is that it contributes a lot to the look of the show. It interacts with the lighting and everything. So it has a lot to do with just the way the whole stage looks. I suppose it would have been fun to include all that footage individually on DVD, but we didn't think of it. So thanks a lot.
Too much.
Come on. Damn it. I mentioned him before. Wayne Joyner, our video artist, made all that stuff. In fact, he even designed, so he did all the videos for Distance Over Time that were released with that what was it, DVD?
Yeah, Blu-ray.
Yeah, Blu-ray. So he did all that, and then when we brought in older material into the live show, like Nightmare and Presence and stuff, he did videos for all that. And then on top of that, he created from scratch an animated, sort of looks like like a what's it called, like a manga kind of graphic novel approach to scenes. and he did all that. And so he was busy, and he also even designed behind. Well, he designed actually the screen, which the screen has a really unique look to it, and he also designed the backdrops, the painted backdrops behind for both set 1 and set 2. So he was a busy man.
Oh my God!
And a very crucial member of our team.
Yeah, he did a great job.
He did. So you can see all that. You see, I mean, to me, the DVD, it's obviously it's the band playing on stage live, and it's the interaction with the fans, but it's just a testament to the amazing team that we have behind us that puts that on. That show is consistent night after night. It's like our crew, the lighting director, Steve Baird, our front of house engineer, Ace, our monitor engineer, Jimmy T, our tour manager, everybody. I mean, that show is like,
it's a testament to that. We have like a big show. One of the things about our organization is we have this incredible family. Yeah. That people who've been with us for so long. I mean, Steve Baird, our lighting guy, has been with Dream Theater for longer than me. I think he did shows.
That's that. We did.
So, and he's just so wonderful and amazing.
You've been there, Kim. You've seen the operation.
Oh yeah, I've seen it all.
That's why it's really, not to get into this whole topic, but it's really frustrating for me to be in the situation we're in the world where there's no live performances, because all of these amazing, talented people are not working. It just affects not only the bands, but the crews and agents and managers and promoters and venues. And it's just something that's, been really difficult for this industry. It just got hit really, really hard, not being able.
Yeah, because people don't think that setting up a show like yours, that's 20, 30 people at least, getting that up. And none of those people are having any work for a year now, almost.
Exactly.
Who knows when it's going to change either.
Yeah, it might be 2 years by the time we're done.
We keep hearing it gets pushed back. Right. I mean, nobody knows is the reality.
Yeah, there's a peak right now in Europe where everything is just going up again. So I mean, there's no end in sight from here, at least.
I know. I mean, obviously, it's like we want everybody to be safe, and that's the most important thing. But they say at the same time, what job could you take off for 2 years from and expect to survive?
Yeah,
it's again, not to get into a whole negative thing, but it's just the reality of how hard the music industry, the live touring industry, has been hit without any sort of opportunity to adapt or anything else.
I mean, venues are struggling, promoters are struggling, everyone is struggling because there's no shows.
Right.
And of course, bands can, to some degree at least, do some events online, like live streams. But I mean, I don't think I've seen that has been a huge money driver either.
So. No, I don't think so. I think maybe there are high hopes of that, but it doesn't seem to have been something to really take off or replace the live, experience.
And that's just something that people are like figuring out as we go. I mean, nobody was prepared for this. It wasn't like there were systems in place for monetizing live shows. I mean, I remember years ago, I did something on a platform that now has been discovered. It's called Stage It, right?
Yeah.
A few years ago. And now Stage It, of course, is one of the more popular places to do live shows. But it's all new to everybody. So everybody's figuring, one step at a time, kind of figuring how can they do these? How can they monetize? It's really, it's cool to learn new things for everybody. And maybe there's a little excitement there to try out different things, but, to actually replace revenue that comes from bands touring, it's not there. It's not happening.
So let's go to some more happy thoughts then.
Okay.
Happy talk.
Heine Melo asks, do you write a song thinking also how it will be played live, or there are songs only possible to be heard only in the album?
I mean, we're very conscious of that kind of thing because of our, you know, experience for so many years playing live. It's definitely something that we think about.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time, like we'll play a riff and, you know, I think probably the first thing in our minds, if it's like a really fast, low riff, we'll go, well, no one will hear these notes,
Yeah,
you know. It's a question of, do we care? Like, does it sound cool right now? And, you know, how much do we want to pay attention to the fact that when we play in a huge venue in Norway or whatever, that they won't really hear those notes. But we're very aware. And we're very sensitive, interested in how we can like engage the audience. Like John was talking about, you know, parts in our music where people really sing along. So we'll be in the studio and writing, and we'll be like, you know, this is a great part because everybody's going to sing along, and it's going to be this great vibe. And so, yeah, it's total awareness of that.
Sofiane Benedir asks, greetings from Algeria. What is the favorite solo from John for you, Jordan? And the same question, vice versa.
Favorite solo in what? All of our
all of recorded time.
All of recorded time.
I don't know if I have a real favorite. I have a favorite of John's.
Yeah, that's what he means.
The question is.
Oh,
Yeah,
what is
yeah.
the favorite solo? John, for you.
That's why I said you're on the spot.
Oh, thank you for interpreting. I love the one that came to mind is the Your Spirit Carries On solo, because it's the perfect. I mean, it's a little bit like a Gilmore-ish kind of solo, but at the same time, it has the Petrucci flavor and technique in it, and I just love that. So it's definitely a highlight.
That's awesome. Sofiane, greetings from Algeria. That's some place that we haven't been to yet, and it'd be nice to go there. We've toured so extensively in our careers. We've visited so many countries, but we've never been to Algeria. So
I mean, there's almost 200 countries in the world, so you still have quite a lot to
go.
Okay, we got to go.
Well, Jordan, I mean, maybe most people know this, maybe they don't, but Jordan is an awesome improviser. Most of his solos that are on the albums are improvised. It's like, okay, Jordan, time to do a solo. And he just like, does solos. Okay, that was good. Or, I think I'm going to keep the one that I did when we wrote the music. And it's like off the cuff. So one of those to me that's recent, that was one you did when we wrote Distance Over Time, was the one at the end of S2N, where we kind of go in the slow sort of halftime jam, and there's this wicked keyboard solo there. I mean, Jordan has so many amazing ones, but that's more recent one that comes to mind on the latest album, and that was improvised. So I Hate You.
Thank you. We're getting this session now.
Positive vibes. Yeah, that's good. I'm just trying to look through all these.
All right. In the meantime, I'm going to try another dart.
Not block. Where'd that one go?
It's up on top. Okay, one more.
I'm good at it.
I'm sitting down, first of all.
Wow, that was a good one.
I'm not like part of the league here at DTHQ.
No.
There's a private league. I'm not part of it.
And there's always somebody playing. I'm definitely not part of it because I would throw it and hit somebody in the face. So I'm not.
It's a private league.
That game.
I have to earn this.
I'm getting a lot of these questions. I just gotta ask it, even if you really don't have to answer it. But in the new album, will we see a 8-string guitar song and G-shred? Are there any parts apart? Are there apart from Pale Blue Dot any song that Jordan uses G-shred?
Well, we're not quite there yet. So
yeah,
I think for sure that I'll find some cool way to use GeoShred. Especially now that I have just released all these amazing like orchestral solo instruments. I don't even know if you've heard those. Like cello and cello, violin, sax, flute, oboe, clarinet. They sound awesome. It was just released yesterday, actually. And just this morning, I was thinking, wow, I got to use like cello because it's just so beautiful. So yeah, I'm definitely going to put something in. Just, awesome. We'll figure it out. But 8-string guitar. I just asked you that yesterday.
You did. So Oscar So myself and the talented engineers over at Ernie Ball Music Man, who I've been with for 20 years now, which is insane. We're developing an 8-string model. Yes. The goal in all of our conversations was to have it available for me for the writing of the new record. We're hoping to make that happen. And now you have to understand that with the pandemic and everything, we weren't supposed to be in the studio right now. We actually would have just finished touring. So the timeline kind of got moved up a bit. So we're gonna see if Ernie Ball Music Man could get me something, even if a prototype, before we're done writing this new record. That's the hope. That's the goal. We're all on the same page, and hopefully they'll be able to do it. But you know, just trying to be understanding with the timeline.
For now, you can just turn your low string down.
Well, you already do a lot of different tunings. So like I think since I guess 6 Degrees or later, you started using a lot of.
Yeah, the biggest one was Train of Thought. I don't know. There's a song.
All of the songs are different tunings on that album.
Like 7 strings, C, D, E flat. They're all different. I don't know what I was thinking. Just means bringing more guitars on the road, I guess.
Yeah.
I was thinking to make this album heavier, that I'd do like, instead of an 88-note keyboard, I'd use like a 90.
Right.
You can just use the transpose button, you know.
Oh, that's not as cool.
That's
no,
not
I just
want to. Okay. Kyle Afringa asked, what songs were considered for the set list pre-tour but didn't make the final cut?
There were a bunch. I don't know if I remember them off the top of my head. I could maybe
look. Hard question. We're gonna go back to our lists.
I could look at if you have slight patience, I maybe
should we get back to that question?
Might have.
Sure, we can get back to that.
Set list.
Well, you examine. Maybe.
I don't know if I have this. There were some songs going back and forth.
How organized are you?
How organized?
How quickly can you put your hand on it?
I have guest lists on here. Set. Let's see. Set time. I don't know how to search this. DVD band notes.
While you're searching, let's. Okay.
All 2019 live set.
This shows
that's exactly what we ended up with.
Right. we shred.
We shred the
kind of thing, right?
Here's another DT 2019 live set. Yeah, it's the same thing. Sorry.
Amin Safar asks, hi John, hi Jordan, greetings from Iran. What's your approach, favorite scale for writing riffs like The Dark Eternal Night and Pale Blue Dot? Do you always think about adding some notes to a particular scale for writing riffs?
We have a favorite scale. It's funny, you know, like this question just made me think though that a lot of times a particular scale will be very inspirational to our compositional ideas. Like I remember when we were writing Pale Blue Dot, I don't remember what it is you played for me, but John said, oh, you got to hear this because it's a really interesting character. And when I listened to the piece, I was like, oh, wow, that's really cool. And I think it was using,
was the harmonic major? Was it that one?
Yeah. With the
it's the same one I used on, sorry, I'm repeating this. Terminal Velocity, the opening track to my solo album, is a good example of that harmonic major sound, which is beautiful. Pale Blue Dot has a section that has that.
But a lot of things, times we'll just hear a scale and it'll just trigger us to write something. I remember actually when we were in the studio with Scenes, and we had my friend Tom come in, who's an ethnic professor, and he was showing us some different scales. And I don't know if we used whatever he showed us, but it got us in that headspace. So a scale will definitely, make it happen.
But we always, one of the things I noticed, and this is fresh on my mind because we're literally in the studio right now working, when we were coming up with riffs, in this case, or he's talking about Dark Eternal Night, they're like single notey sort of riffs. We break the scale rules constantly. So we'll weave in and out of the the notes that are diatonic to a scale. We don't just like say, okay, this has to be this scale, and we just stick to it, unless we're looking something that's actually purposely more expected from the listener. Like we want to keep this specifically in a key diatonically because we're looking for that tight sound. But for the most part, we don't do that. We always break the rules, and we kind of weave in and out of the scale. You know, it reminds me, it doesn't end up sounding like this, but it reminds me of the whole bebop thing where there's all these approach notes and
That's
stuff.
a really interesting
outside
concept.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking like kind of like the same thing from a different perspective, but we're trying to write a cool riff, and sometimes maybe it's like a heavy riff, but we don't want it to sound too much like this or too much like that, or maybe not. Oh, you know, those are just the blues notes, so let's make it sound a little bit more special. How can we do that? Maybe add an element of something a little darker, or a little cool. So a lot of times, different notes come into it to create something that is just crafted in an interesting way, and it's not any one particular scale.
No, it's funny. In fact, we have a cameraman with us on this album who's filming the process, not the entire thing, but a lot of it. So we'll have a lot of material to be able to show people how, you know, this album went down. But one of the things that would be interesting for him to capture is sometimes we'll literally, it could be 4 notes, and we'll be like, how about this? You know, play did in it, and like, wait, how about this? And Jordan will cut, well, it could be this, and John will say, well, what about this?
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, that's it. Wait, hold on a minute, guys. What if it was this? And it's literally like 17 different interpretations of 4 different notes until somehow miraculously everybody goes, yeah, that's the one. And you're like,
yeah.
You know, why are those 4 notes any different than the first 4?
Right, and it could be so simple. It could be like this, like we want to go from da to da. We'll go da 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 da. And then, you know, all the options are open. There's a million we could sit there playing them all day, but to find the one that we're all going to be like, okay, that's it. That's cool.
Right.
It's like a really.
If at some point our cameraman can capture that process, you'll see how sort of psychotic we are.
And it's a funny thing for guys like us who could think of a million different things to do. I mean, like, you know, we're quick at finding the options, but just to, you know, make it, it's like the difference between improvising and composing. But, yeah, you can just play all day and play stuff, but when you want to actually make a decision, it's a whole different kind of a thing.
I see in Amin's picture, there's a photo of him and I.
Yeah, it is.
He has a good beard going.
Yeah.
He should pick up some of my Nebula beard oil. Oh, man.
Come on, man.
I should get that as well, I guess.
Yeah, you need to get it, Kim.
We forgot to bring our products: beard oil, Geo Shred, all this stuff. And we should have commercial, you know,
commercial breaks during the I can actually arrange that. You just need a couple of short videos and put that into here, and I can just pull them up.
That's really luxurious. I have to admit.
Okay, Michael PCS asks, I have attended hundreds of concerts, and still John has the most impressive guitar tone I've ever heard in a concert. A question for John: whose guitar tone blew your mind when you first heard him? Also, what was the motivation behind using a 7-string guitar on Awake? What brought John to the 7-string? Thanks and greetings from Greece.
Oh man, hi Michael from Greece. Thank you for the compliments on my guitar tone. It's something that I'm really, really into. I've been into for a long time. It's the whole pursuit of tone. My tone mission. That's what I call my company, Tone Mission, because it's all about trying to search for that perfect tone. There are guys that I mean, as far as recorded tones on record, I mean, I can't believe I have to say this, but you know, just because it's so shocking, but the late Eddie Van Halen, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention his tone. I mean, the Van Halen 1 was just like one of the most ridiculous, unbelievable recorded guitar tones of all time. You know, as far as the heavier sounds, when I first heard Master of Puppets back in the mid 80s, I was going to Berkeley at the time, and I just connected with the sound of the guitars on that record. But it was like local guys that I would see where I first sort of got hit with that feeling like, oh my God, what is that guy playing through? And every time it was always a boogie. And it was like a local guitar player that I go see in clubs. I saw Jack Bruce play, and oh my God, why I'm forgetting the name of our friend that played guitar. I feel like an idiot right now. Anyway, I'll remember it. He was playing with the band. He was playing through a boogie. It was probably a C plus. Another local band again was playing through a boogie, a Mark IV. It always kind of came down to the boogie, but it was like that that experience of being in the audience and hearing something come off the stage, and just being like, man, what is that song? And obviously, in the case of Van Halen, that was a whole different thing that he was using. But anyway, we'll miss Eddie. That was a big, big, big loss. They'll never see another one like him. Definitely.
I saw there was a question earlier, like, would you attend or participate in a Van Halen tribute concert?
I mean, I'd be happy to. Nothing like that has really come up, but
right now there's no concert, so
yeah. I mean, I can't. It's hard for me to think of anybody who hasn't been influenced by him. It just like along the way with electric guitar, just only a couple of guys amongst all of the incredible guitar players there are in the world who are mind blowing. It's only a couple that just like changed the game. Yeah. Right. And it's just sad to think we'll never get to see him play guitar again. Yeah. Very, very sad moment.
Let's see. This is a fun one. Speaking of, Freddie Mercury asks, what are 3 of your necessary rider requests?
Well, it's got to be chocolate.
Yeah, Jordan's all into the chocolate.
It's got to be chia seeds.
James has to have his bananas.
Oh yeah, right.
Something with the potassium in his vocal cords.
James almost got thrown in jail one time for his banana addiction.
That's right.
He was trying to travel in from
South America,
right?
Can't bring produce,
and he was bringing bananas through, so they stopped him.
Yeah, that can be difficult because I mean that can contaminate. Not that bananas would contaminate, because I don't think there's any active seeds in that. But
like chocolate is usually wrapped and legal to bring in, right? But it's bananas.
There was a long period of time where double stuffed golden Oreos were essential on the rider.
Yeah, those are pretty special.
There's a guy who says Dream Theater beard oil. I guess they haven't been paying attention because there's only one.
Oh, okay.
Where have you been? Go get the product.
Metal Maniac is out of the loop for 2 reasons. One of the reasons he spelled Dream Theater wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Second is, okay.
We gotta get the product.
I got Jordan. All right. Going. Jordan's gonna. Okay, Metal Music Maniac. We're way ahead of you.
That's a good one.
This is a very organic. Oh, look at that! Oh, Jordan broke the whole. Look at that, Jordan. You're the best. This is there does exist my Nebula beard oil, and if you open it up, you get this special guitar pick Nebula. But here's the fun thing: that's the actual beard oil. But if you pull this thing out, this is fun. You open it up. Come on. Oh boy. I'm on the spot.
He's on the spot.
And then you get that. Yeah, that's a Nebula. And you have a whole story there. And then there's a mustache wax and a beard balm. Come on, metal guy. There's a smaller one. There it is. Now so it does exist.
Metal guy has been informed.
Right, Jordan. Let's see what Jordan thinks of this. Jordan actually used it. He smelled. What's your description?
This is kind of becoming a beard oil thing, but just a comment. I'm a lady, but I'll buy your Nebula just for the amazing sound.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Makes for a good Christmas present.
There you go. And you can use it in your hair too, right? If you're a woman.
You actually, well, they make oil. I don't want to say give this the wrong usage, but I definitely know a lot of guys that, once you put it in the beard, you can finish off the hair with it. I don't think it's going to harm anything. This is a whole different topic here. We're all with the live album.
Yes, George Stevia. Just a quick question: what do you miss most from the very beginning of DT? When you were not influential, but you were rocking from Music Institute times.
When I missed the ending of that,
Music Institute times. Was that what you mean?
Well,
Berkeley.
Yeah, we didn't go to the music, and maybe it just means Berkeley.
Probably.
Yeah. Right, John and I went to
right.
Berkeley College of Music and met Mike Portnoy there back in 1985. What do we miss the most? DT, Majesty. What do we miss the most from those? I mean, it's funny. It's like the things that you connect with when you're that age. I mean, we were like 18 years old. I mean, I guess it was just the whole sense of not. In some ways you miss it, and in some ways you're glad that you don't, you're not in that position anymore. But it's like I guess the unknown, it was all very exciting. We didn't know what was going to happen. We wanted careers in music. We were going to Berkeley. We were following the path of our heroes.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows what was going to happen. We certainly put everything into it. And we had some great times doing it back then. You're talking like, young guys, 18 years old. Through our early 20s, and fortunately, we got to the point where our careers took off. So it's like, I guess it was just that sense of everything just being new and doing things for the first time and achieving milestones for the first time. Those things happen kind of once, and then they don't happen again. So yeah, it was fun. Absolutely.
So let's bring it back to the Distant Memories DVD, which is what we're here talking about. It comes out in November, late
beard oil
stuff.
Beard oil. It comes out late November. I forget the dates. You probably have it.
Can't forget the date. This is an official
the date when it comes out.
Official Facebook event. We need to know the actual date.
The date when it comes out is release date November 27th.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right. And also on November 6th. Well, I don't know if that's public knowledge yet. No, I can't say.
Happening in November 6th.
Do you know what's happening?
Well, I think we have a teaser for that actually for the end. So I guess.
Well, you know what's public knowledge, and
so. When you're making a DVD like that, of course, this is the second time you did Scenes from My Memory. So how did you proceed in trying to make that different this time around than the first DVD back in 2000?
Yeah, you kind of talked about it before. I mean, and I've said this before too. Back then, when Jordan first joined the band and we recorded that album and went out on tour with it, I mean, we were fans of things like Pink Floyd's The Wall and Queensryche Operation Mindcrime, and bands in their prime presenting these unbelievably elaborate live concept album shows with staging and things and props and spectacles and videos and we didn't really have the means to do that. People.
We had 50-inch TV.
Yeah. Anybody that was there remembers the live scenes from New York. I mean, we put everything we had into it, and it was a fun, great show. Yeah. We hired actors for the day.
We had a gospel choir.
We had a choir. Yeah. We had TV sets for video. We had different videos made by various people that were all sort of different in style. Right. So. Fast forwarding, now that we're at a point in our career that we can present the kind of show that, I think does the story justice. we were able to do, as we talked about before, have a complete from beginning to end animated artist depiction of the story, presented, with backdrops, screen, staging, the lighting that we wanted, whatever the props were that we wanted, etc. And so it's a much more realized presentation of scenes that than the original one. So it's fun. I mean, if anybody was there for the original one, they get to see a whole different presentation of it. And for anybody who is a newer fan, maybe wasn't around back then 20 years ago, then they were able to see this performed in its entirety, which we hadn't done since then.
And of course, one of the differences is all of your gear has been changed out by this time. So you had to recreate a lot of that stuff. Like you had to recreate your guitar tone, and you had to recreate all the keyboard patches, or at least approximate them.
Yeah, and it's always kind of interesting to go back and, we want it to sound like the album, but at the same time, we have all this new kind of improved gear. So there's stuff that we can do to maybe make it even better. So that I think that I would dare say that some of the tones that we achieved are, just cooler, higher. What am I trying to say? Like the resolution of the sounds, even from a synthesizer point of view, like, everything, the technology has gotten so much better. So the sounds are more pristine, and, so that makes a difference too.
And the parallel with me is that it also coincides with 20 years being with Ernie Ball Music Band, like I said before. So actually on that live Scenes from New York, I was using a prototype, I believe, of my first JP model with Ernie Ball. So consistent in that sense, but that's something that's been developed as well. It's crazy that they're both 20 years ago.
I was telling somebody yesterday, the day before, when I met John and went and saw all of his gear, he had like 1 or 2 refrigerator racks filled with stuff, like amazing, like one.
We have a special guest.
There's a special guest.
Listen,
moving through.
Look at what are you guys doing? You're in the dot room. I gotta practice.
Can you show them how it's done though? Because we can't seem to hit the bullseye here.
I told them I'm not in the club.
We
can't hit the bullseye.
We got one of the guys from
I'm not in the club.
Yeah.
Are you regulation?
Are you blocking him?
Hold on. Oh wait. Yeah.
No, I'll stand on 1 foot.
All right, here we go.
You need the ball?
You need a drum roll?
Oh!
That's very close.
Oh,
so close.
All right, there he is.
All right, we know who the good dart guy is here.
You guys have fun.
Mike is like, he's come in here because we were writing an album.
Sorry.
When are you guys coming back in?
It's like, did you guys forget about me?
Yeah, no, it's not when you come in. You gotta get out of the dot room.
All this time you could have been playing dots.
I did my drum track in 8 minutes. I could have been playing dots.
Man, we're in the rec room.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So that's the new Dream Theater headquarters, is it?
That's right.
Yes.
He doesn't want to ask me anything, does he?
I don't know. There's probably people who want to ask you stuff.
Yeah, but we're writing, so we'll have to schedule another one for you.
That's all right.
Yeah.
It's okay. You guys have to say all right.
Thanks for saying all that.
Yeah, that was a good visit. I should get him. Should get him on this chat as well sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
What I noticed about the Pale Blue Dot video is that this venue, of course, is seated, and that's a new one that I've never seen before in a Dream Theater Live DVD. I think, at least not in that way.
Yeah, the seated thing didn't thrill us. Yes, we were talking about the idea of putting like a little electric jolts into people's chairs to get them. Didn't fly though, so didn't do that.
I mean, it's the nature of that kind of venue, theater like that is a seated venue. Obviously all throughout the world, there are different styles of venues, standing, seated. It's a different vibe. It depends, depends on the the country and everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, seated venues tend to give a little bit more of a mellowish approach because everybody's comfortable. But there's something to be said for that too, because it
You're
is
listening.
the environment is actually they're usually the more ornate, beautiful settings as well. So that you have that trade off. Sometimes some of the non-seated arenas and things like that are pretty basic. So you got people standing on cement floors for 3 hours. So,
Yeah, I'm getting too old for that
Right,
stuff.
there you go. You like
Standing on the
a nice, beautiful,
Cushy
seated venue. Yeah,
I prefer that,
you can
definitely.
go out.
Right.
And, you can get your beer and popcorn and come back
Right.
in. You're still there.
You'll probably really enjoy the new DVD. You'll be hanging out.
I'll be sitting in my couch and just watching it on my surround sound speaker setup. So that'll be good.
Yeah.
So I guess we're up at an hour right now. So I think it's time to kind of say goodbye, and
Yeah. Well,
maybe we'll have a chat later sometime.
do that, my friend. Thank you so much for putting this together.
Yeah, I appreciate
you and our
it.
team to make these things happen, and all the fans who came to participate today and ask questions and be part of it. It's awesome.
It's very cool. And we're looking forward to this DVD coming out. It's our engineer Jimmy T, our beloved, mixed this. This is his first mixing job for Dream Theater. He did a fantastic, amazing job, and I'm excited for people to get to see it, especially now where there's no live concerts, so people can crank it up and watch it and pretend they're there until we are in happier days where we can all meet again in person. And in the meantime, we're working on a new album. So
I'll just leave all of the guys with a little treat, and this is a 30-second clip of Fatal Tragedy.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so that was
awesome.
Good little taste.
Yeah, you can see in that how the screen is part of the show there, so people can see at least some a fair amount of that video footage.
So thank you very much for coming to my little chat here. It was a very good time had by all, I guess.
Absolutely. Thanks for doing this, Kim. It's always great. Thanks for everything you do. I always try to let the world know you're the man who put all this the Dream Theater community together, and we thank you for that.
And we appreciate it, Kim.
Yeah, and shout out to all of our fan communities and organizers out there. You guys are all great, so thank you. We appreciate it.
Yes, we do.
Thank you, and goodbye.
All right.